These two officers held their ground. They held their ground in the face of rifle fire at point-blank range.
If it weren't for them, the number of casualties and victims would have been much higher.
Police there talking about what could have been as they continue to investigate the motives behind a shooting at Joel Osteen's megachurch in Houston. I'm Gadi Schwartz, and this is Stay Tuned Now. We've got new details tonight after police searched the home of the shooter who opened fire inside one of the country's biggest evangelical megachurches.
Diagonal 2024. Repito.
And today, police identified the shooter as 36-year-old Genesee Moreno. Officers say she entered the church with her 7-year-old son just before 2 in the afternoon yesterday, started firing shots as soon as she came into a hallway, and got into a gunfight with 2 off-duty officers. She was hit and died at the scene. Now, according to police, the 7-year-old was also shot in the head and remains in critical condition. So far, who shot the child is still unclear. Investigators say Moreno was carrying an assault-style rifle that had a sticker with the word Palestine, and a search of her home turned up, quote, anti-Semitic writings. But police will not elaborate on the content of those writings or whether they belong to Moreno. They did say she had a criminal history and used other aliases, including the names of men and women. And the shooting started right before an afternoon Spanish language service at the Lakewood Church in Houston, which has one of the nation's largest congregations. Around 45,000 people attend services there every single week. The church was once in the home of the NBA Houston Rockets. NBC's Morgan Chesty is in Houston. Morgan, a lot of confusion about the moments when the shooting started. The shooter's 7-year-old son was hit. Do we know how he's doing, how he was hit?
Yeah, Gadi, great questions. We do know that at last check, Houston's police chief says that that little boy is fighting for his life and is listed in critical condition. As for how he ended up here at Houston's Lakewood Church with his mother, that is one of the biggest questions we may never get an answer to at this point. We do know that witnesses spotted the shooter pulling the son out of the back seat of a vehicle and then making their way towards one of the entrances here at the church, where they encountered a security guard. It was shortly thereafter, Gadi, that we're told the shooter opened fire with that AR-15 and was almost immediately engaged by those off-duty officers. Regarding her son's injuries, as you mentioned, it's still unclear who struck that boy. The police chief saying yesterday, while they are going to absolutely get to the bottom of that, because this mother placed her child, a 7-year-old, in harm's way in the middle of a shootout, the blame absolutely falls on her. Gadi?
And Morgan, we heard this talk of the anti-Semitic writing, a Palestine sticker on the gun. What do we know about the motive here?
The motive, that is one of the questions that authorities are digging into. We have heard some new details that were shared during a press conference today. And let's start, of course, with the identification of the armed suspect here who was killed at the scene. Genesee Yvonne Moreno, a 36-year-old who's registered to live in a home in Conroe, Texas. That's about 30 minutes from where we are right now. And according to police, Gadi, she had 6 prior arrests dating back to 2005, which included unlawful carrying of a weapon, evading arrest, and assault on a public official. You look at that criminal history and then a couple other pieces of evidence here, one of which being that authorities say that her ex-husband and members of his family had a Jewish background, and that could have caused a disagreement that stemmed as a result of that. Also, both family members and members of law enforcement, Gadi, confirmed that Moreno suffered from a series of mental illness issues, and all of these things combined painted a much clearer picture today as to what could have contributed to what led her to walk into one of the biggest churches in America and open fire. And right now, authorities are not saying that it is a hate crime or even terrorism, but they're not striking those from potential motives either. Gadi?
And Morgan, do we know what investigators found inside of Moreno's home?
Right. These search warrants were conducted in the early morning hours. We saw them walk out with box after box of evidence. While they're not sharing all of the contents that were inside those boxes, Gadi, we do know that included among what was recovered was the ingredients to make bombs per se, but these ingredients by themselves, authorities stress they are benign, they are not dangerous. And despite that suspect making a bomb threat, in addition to opening fire, no explosives have been recovered, and the authorities are stressing that no members of the community or of this church were in any way exposed to any dangerous chemical that could have caused an issue. Gadi.
Morgan Chesky, thanks so much. And Israeli forces have freed 2 hostages who had been held by Hamas for months, but Palestinian officials say the Israeli military launched airstrikes that killed dozens of people at the same time. Now, the raid happened overnight in Rafah, which is in southern Gaza, where 70-year-old Louis Har and 60-year-old Fernando Simon Marman were rescued. Video was released of those men reuniting with their families. Israeli forces say it is only the second time they had rescued hostages in Gaza since the war began. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Health Ministry says at least 67 people died from bombings that came with that rescue operation, many of them women and children. And just a warning, some of what you're about to see may be disturbing.
أهلي نايمين نزحنا من غزة تجرنا في حاصل وقاعدين في أمان الله تقتل أهلي ليش وهم نايمين أطفال أنا إلي من الفجر لهالجيت وأنا بلف أشلاء أهلي كل هيتم قطع مش عارف أتعرف على أهلي بتعرف من أصبع رجله من أصبع إيده.
And at the White House today, more signs that President Biden is frustrated with Israel's military tactics in Gaza, hosting the King of Jordan, who is pushing for a ceasefire today and calling for a 2-state solution.
An independent, sovereign, and viable Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital, but living side by side with Israel in peace and security. This is the only solution.
NBC News foreign correspondent Rafah Sanchez has more.
We're learning more about that early morning Israeli commando raid that led to the rescue of 2 hostages, Fernando Marman and Louise Har. The Israeli military says at 1:49 a.m. local time, special forces burst into an apartment building in the city of Rafah in southern Gaza. They went up to an apartment on the 2nd floor, found the door was locked, and breached it with explosives. They say that inside they found those 2 hostages, as well as 3 armed Hamas guards who they killed. They brought the hostages back down to the street and took them to an improvised helicopter landing pad inside the Gaza Strip. From there, they were flown to a hospital here in the greater Tel Aviv area, reunited with their families for the first time in 129 days. Family members saying it was almost unreal to be able to hold them once again. Doctors say that despite everything they've been through, they appear to be in good condition. But as those Israeli commandos were leaving the city of Rafah, the Israeli Air Force carrying out a wave of airstrikes to cover their retreat, at least 67 Palestinians killed, including a number of civilians. That's according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Our colleagues in Gaza were at the Al-Kuwaiti hospital at one of the overwhelmed emergency rooms there, just wave after wave of wounded people being brought in. And all of this comes amid growing fear that Israel is about to launch an all-out ground assault on the city of Rafah, where some 1.4 million Palestinians, that's more than half the population of the Gaza Strip, are sheltering. We heard President Biden tonight repeating his warning to Israel that it should not carry out that attack until there is a credible plan to get civilians out of harm's way. But I was speaking to a senior UN official earlier today. He says at this point, there is nowhere safe for those people to run to. Back to you.
And tonight, almost 50 million people in the Northeast could be walloped by a massive storm that could be the biggest seen out there in nearly 2 years. Now, the prep has already started in areas like New England. People in Massachusetts on the coast are boarding up their windows, while officials in Rhode Island are starting to line up their plows. And this storm is going to stretch from Philadelphia to Providence, where up to a foot of snow could fall tomorrow. Most of it is expected to come down early in the morning right along the I-95 corridor, which could make for a very messy morning commute. And if you're hoping for a snow day tomorrow, Boston kids, you are in luck. But in the Big Apple, not so much. New York City schools are going to be remote. Local officials urging everyone to stay off the road, stressing that if you don't have to go outside tomorrow, stay home. So we're going to bring in NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo, who joins us now from New York. Stephen, how much snow are we talking by the time everyone wakes up tomorrow? And how are places like New York City preparing for this?
Yeah, that's a great question, Gadi. The meteorologist track of this has shifted quite significantly this afternoon. But the way New York City is preparing mostly is trying to remind people exactly what to deal with. It's been 2 years since New York has seen a significant snowfall like we could see coming up tomorrow. The city says drivers may not be ready, but they are. They have all of this salt that's not been needed pretty much for the past 2 years to actually put on the roads to treat them so that people can safely drive on them. You mentioned schools are closed. That should alleviate some of the traffic, but people still have to go to work, so they should give themselves plenty of time. That caution coming from the mayor today. We also heard from Governor Kathy Hochul saying that if people can stay home, they absolutely should. The students, though, they are going to have to continue with that remote learning. It's not like the old school snow days anymore, Gadi. They're going to have to keep doing that work from their computers at home.
What's this going to do to travel?
Yeah, that's another big question people are talking about right now. You mentioned the I-95 corridor, trying to pinpoint exactly where the biggest spots for trouble are going to be. But we do know that the airlines, they are already issuing warnings about this right now, and there are a lot of them that are saying this. JetBlue, Southwest, United, America, and Delta, they are issuing alerts, also issuing waivers in some cases, telling people to get prepared for this. And as we've seen so many times before, even if you're not in an area that's experiencing significant snow or winter weather, there is sometimes a domino effect that can affect different cities across the country. So it's something pretty much everyone planning on flying needs to be on the lookout for starting tomorrow morning.
Stephen Romo reporting for us tonight. Stephen, you know, most people give us a little sprinkle of salt. You give us mountains back there. Stephen, thanks so much.
That's right.
And NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns is here to tell us more about this storm. Bill, I think sometimes people are a little skeptical when they hear about these big snowstorms and the snow estimates. I know here in L.A. we were when we first heard about rain estimates last week. How do we know this one is going to be so strong?
Well, we know the strength of the storm. We know that someone's going to get it. Like, you know, you guys were, everyone was saying last week, L.A. was going to get 4 to 8 inches of rain. Everyone's like, it never rains 4 to 8 inches of rain in L.A. It can't happen. That's way too much. They're exaggerating. And then it happened. So, yeah, the technology's gotten better. That usually we know how big the storm's going to be and where it's going to hit, but we don't always know exactly in that bullseye who's going to get the most. Snow is very, very, it can be thunder snow in one spot, very heavy, and not in another. So we know we're getting a little bit of snow tonight. Tennessee and areas of Kentucky going to cause a little glaze out there, so be careful traveling, especially bridges and overpasses. And then the main event is going to be late tonight and all morning tomorrow. It's all these winter storm warnings. Southern New England, Long Island, now the northern half of Jersey, back into areas of Pennsylvania. So this is how the forecast has changed. We started 48 hours ago. We were looking like a certain foot of snow, Catskills all the way up to the Berkshires into Albany. Everything has gone south. The storm is tracking south and a little weaker, and we may not even get much snow at all in the Albany area. Now everything is south. Areas in central Jersey weren't supposed to get anything. It was supposed to be all rain, and now all of a sudden we're up in those totals. Philly wasn't supposed to get this 12 hours ago. Now we got you in 2 to 4. It wouldn't surprise me if we upped that to 3 to 6. New York, you've kind of been in that 3 to 6 zone. That hasn't changed much. Long Island was going to be all rain. Now that's going to be snow. And the timing of this mess is what the really big problem is. So as we go through the night, it goes from rain over to snow, and it's going to be very heavy right during the peak of the morning rush hour. This is paused at 9 a.m. So from 7 to about 10 from just outside of Washington, D.C. And yes, even D.C. now could end the storm with a little bit of snow. Maybe it won't accumulate much, but you'll see it. Definitely Baltimore to Philadelphia, I-95 to New York, all Long Island, 495, heading through southern New England.
the morning rush hour is going to be very difficult. It's going to snow so hard the plows won't be able to keep up with it. It's not going to last long, only 3 or 4 hours. But I wouldn't surprise me at all if we get people trapped on the roads. They think they can drive in it. One car gets trapped, and then everyone's just stuck sitting there waiting because the plows won't be able to get around. The other issue will be the winds, isolated power outages. Really only Cape Cod will have blizzard conditions. It won't officially be called a blizzard likely in many cases. And we do have to worry about the coastal high tide flooding, too, out on Nantucket all the way through the Cape Cod, through the Sound here. And also the Jersey Shore is going to have some pretty high water, too, Gadi. So, you know, you pick your poison with these storms. They're tough to forecast, especially when the temperature's right around 32 like this one. Tomorrow morning is going to be very interesting. There'll be some disappointed kids and others that'll be thrilled.
Yeah. Outside the Northeast, what's it looking like?
Rest of the country is kind of quiet right now for a little while. That's not going to last forever. So today we had, you know, pretty much quiet conditions in the middle of the nation. West Coast, you've been getting your break, but that's not going to last forever. The next big storm will be coming in late this week and then this upcoming weekend. You notice the West Coast gets very active as we go throughout Wednesday, and then as we go through Thursday into Friday, that storm goes into the middle of the country, and you probably have already heard about it, Gadi. It looks like the next big storm, the next El Nino-ish type storm, will be as we head towards the weekend for the West Coast.
Great. Bill Cairns, thanks so much. And don't go anywhere. We are just getting started. Up next, a lot of people are not too happy with Donald Trump's comments about NATO allies. And some Republicans are even going as far as to call his words dangerous. We're going to tell you what he said. Plus, Bulletproof. You will never guess what ended up saving the life of a salesman when he was suddenly shot at the job. There are 850 patients in Gaza's last major hospital, but only 5 doctors to treat them. Later this hour, we're going to take you inside the collapsing facility, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. And here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. Today, the Pentagon says Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is recovering at Walter Reed Hospital again after having procedures done for a bladder issue. He's staying at Walter Reed through the night, but he's supposed to return to work tomorrow. Now, Austin did tell the White House of his medical procedures this time, unlike when President Biden was left in the dark over his hospitalization in the last couple of months. New York is putting a new curfew on 20 migrant shelters around the city. The new 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. restrictions started today, and it brings the total number of shelters with curfews up to 24. The mayor's office says the new curfew is not connected to the recent crimes that have been linked to migrants, including that shooting in Times Square last week by a 15-year-old Venezuelan migrant. And tomorrow, voters in New York's 3rd congressional district will vote on who should take over former Congressman George Santos' seat after he was kicked out of Congress. Republican Mazi Pilip and Democrat Tom Suozzi are facing off in a highly contested race. It could be a big test for the Republicans, who are holding on to a razor-thin majority in the House. And remember when the White House banned TikTok from government phones? Well, guess who just joined and started posting last night? Here's the White House answering a bunch of questions about why President Biden's campaign is now on TikTok, too.
I think that's as far as I can go. It's wise for people to use TikTok?
Again, that's not something that I'm qualified to say from the National Security Council. All I can tell you is it's banned on U.S. government devices, and we follow that guidance.
Most questions were deferred to the Biden campaign, but in the past, the administration has called TikTok a national security threat. His campaign, though, says they are taking security precautions on devices with the app. And Beyonce dropped some new music last night and announced a brand new country album. She gave fans a pretty big tease, appearing in a Super Bowl ad with Verizon, then dropping 2 singles right after. As for the full album, it's supposed to be a follow-up to Renaissance called Act 2, and it'll be out at the end of March. And former President Trump has sent shockwaves across Europe after he seemed okay with Russia attacking NATO allies that weren't pitching in on defense spending. During a rally in South Carolina, the Republican presidential frontrunner recalled a conversation he claims to have had with an unnamed head of state. Listen to what he said.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
NBC's Garrett Hake has more.
Gadi, these comments were unusual, at least for any other politician not named Donald Trump. But this has long been the way that he has talked about America's involvement overseas, about multilateral alliances, and especially about NATO. Even when he was president, Donald Trump complained about the idea that America was somehow getting ripped off by NATO. It's why he talked about pulling troops out of allied countries like Germany. And so this language from him and this boast about a conversation that may or may not have actually taken place isn't particularly surprising. What is somewhat surprising is the total, almost complete lack of pushback he has received on this issue from within the Republican Party. Really, it was just former rival Chris Christie and current rival Nikki Haley kind of loudly condemning Donald Trump over these comments. But most elected Republicans today defended him on either the substance, saying they also agree that more countries within NATO need to make sure they're meeting their commitments to their own defense, or even on the style and substance of it, saying, you know, this is just the way he talks and that people have to get over it. I heard from several Republican lawmakers today that old cliche from the last 8 years of you got to take Donald Trump seriously, but not literally. Now, I can tell you they're taking Donald Trump seriously and literally across the pond in Europe, where we did hear from defense ministers and other leaders of European countries saying this is not how NATO should operate. This puts folks in danger. So, too, did the Biden administration today argue that strengthening NATO and making clear our commitment to defend our allies is as important as anything a president does. Another key point of contrast between the current and former presidents as we roll into this general election season. Gadi?
Jared Hake, thanks so much. And if you thought things were complicated before with all the legal drama and President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, there is a pretty salacious scandal threatening to take down the Georgia prosecutor, and it has nothing to do with the 2020 election. Today, the judge in that case set the stage for a hearing to help decide whether to prosecute or whether prosecutor Fani Willis should be booted from the case after admitting to having a relationship with a man she hired to help run the case. That hearing is going to be held on Thursday. Meanwhile, in Florida, Trump was back in federal court today on his classified documents case. That's his motorcade you see there. He's facing 40 felony charges for allegedly taking hundreds of classified government documents to Mar-a-Lago after he left the White House. Let's bring in NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Sinandela. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining us. Just want to start with Georgia, because I know a lot of the gritty details that we should be hearing on Thursday are already out there. What could we see on Thursday?
So Thursday is going to be a tabloid-esque evidentiary hearing that will be fully run by the judge. And what that means is that he can determine who will testify, who won't testify, when they can stop testifying, and most explosively, whether or not there could be cross-examination. So subpoenaed and expected to take the stand are Willis and Wade, and they will be fact-finding such tawdry questions as who paid for what, who has receipts, did she or he pay more than half the time, and also when did this relationship start? Did the romance start prior to her hiring him, or did it start after? Because look, big picture, even though this seems like it's all about a tabloid, really it's about a conflict of interest. And legally, that question is she deriving any personal benefit from this case? And if it turns out that she hired her lover, who was allegedly not qualified, and then ended up paying him almost $700,000, which then went back to her in the form of fancy trips, as the defense is alleging, that could potentially qualify as a conflict of interest, Gadi.
Okay, so if she gets disqualified and then the lead prosecutor gets disqualified, what happens to the case?
Well, in some ways, Trump really wins because the entire case will get delayed. So it's not like the charges will necessarily be dismissed at all, but he will get delays. And the problem with that is that getting a new prosecutor up to speed and a new special prosecutor would take so much time that if he does end up winning the next election, then all of this would be postponed until after he serves office. And given what statute of limitations are in the state of Georgia, it is not likely that he would ever face trial.
Okay, so turning to the classified documents case here, what happened today and what's going to happen next?
Right. So what happened in Florida is that, look, every defense generally has a right to access the evidence that the prosecution is going to put forth against them. Now, this is a really tricky case because it involves classified documents. And in those cases, the prosecution, like here, can claim that national security interests trump whatever right the defendants have. Now, this is also trickier because it's not just Trump who is a defense. He also has co-defendants who had a lower level of security clearance than he does. So his his team is saying they want unredacted full access to all the evidence. The prosecution, though, is arguing that they will just give summaries to Trump and his co-defendants, which the defense says does not give them adequate knowledge and information and time to prepare for this trial. So again, possibly just even more delay tactics. And we don't know what the results of these closed hearings were, but we will find and hear a decision sometime soon.
Bottom line there, busy week, especially busy Thursday. We'll be checking back with you very soon. NBC's Angela Sinandela, thank you so much for joining us. And coming up, a door-to-door salesman was shot by a homeowner, but miraculously, his tablet right there saved his life. We've got those details. But first, you got to see this. This is a shocking attack on a police sergeant in Ohio. It was caught on body cam. Now, the officer was chasing down the suspect who was linked to a stolen car. He orders him to stop. That's when the driver lurches the car forward, hitting the cop. Now, the officer tumbles over the hood. He shoots at the car. The driver then falls off that car. The driver manages to escape, but was arrested and charged later that day after hitting 2 more cars on the road. The officer and those 2 drivers, as well as the suspect, were all treated for injuries. We'll be right back. Hey there, welcome back. And here are some of the stories we're watching out here in the West. Surveillance video caught the ground shaking near San Diego after nearly 24 earthquakes rocked the city of El Centro overnight, with the largest one having a 4.8 magnitude. Now, city officials say the quakes caused some structural damage, but no one was hurt. And here's the thing about surveillance footage. It catches just about everything. And today in Santa Cruz, California, pharmacy workers are cleaning up after a truck smashed through its front doors last Friday. Now, the driver of the car, who has not been identified, walked into the store after the crash saying he had a headache. No one in the store was hurt, and customers will still be able to get their prescriptions. And 20 years ago on this day, history was made in California. Take a listen.
We've just learned from our NBC station in the San Francisco Bay Area that 2 women have been issued marriage licenses and have, in fact, gotten married. And this is all apparently a goodwill gesture on behalf of San Francisco's new mayor, Gavin Newsom, making good on a plan to allow same-sex couples to wed.
At the time, it was legal. It was a legal challenge to state law. Now, at the time, California Governor Gavin Newsom was just elected mayor of San Francisco, and he told the city clerk to start giving out marriage licenses to same-sex couples. A month later, more than 4,000 gay couples were married at San Francisco City Hall, but California Supreme Court would void these marriages later that year, which created a ripple effect that saw California legalize same-sex marriage in 2013. And tonight, the father of a U.S. Marine killed during a helicopter crash near San Diego last week is speaking out. The father of Lance Corporal Donovan Davis wants to know why his son and 4 other Marines were flying during one of the worst storms to hit Southern California in years. NBC's Priya Sridhar has more.
He just always wanted to be a Marine, and he's very proud to be a Marine.
Gregory Davis is struggling to come to terms with the loss of his son, 21-year-old Lance Corporal Donovan Davis.
He is probably one of the most soft-spoken, kindest, gentlest people I've ever met.
Lance Corporal Davis was one of 5 young Marines, all between the ages of 21 and 28, who lost their lives when the helicopter they were flying from Nevada to California crashed into a forest during one of Southern California's most intense rainstorms in years.
It's been probably pretty much the week every parent dreads having.
Now Davis, who had a 25-year career as a Navy pilot himself, is demanding answers from the Department of Defense about why his son was flying that day.
I've flown that route many times. I was just pretty much in shock that after I'd heard the magnitude of the weather.
Are you hoping that something could potentially come out of this investigation that might change the way the Marine Corps makes their decisions?
Yeah, if they don't, then these 5 Marines died in vain.
A spokesperson for the 3rd Marine Air Wing tells NBC News an investigation into the crash is ongoing. Military experts say leaders are always calculating risks when making decisions.
In combat, these aviation units are in bad weather, they're low level, they're at night, they're choosing to fly during those conditions, and they're facing enemy action. So you simply have to get out this envelope and train to what you're going to face
This time, Davis says, the process failed, and now he's struggling to cope with the loss of his beloved son.
He was a patriot. He was selfless. He loved flying. He loved being in the Marine Corps, and I guess he died doing what he really loved doing.
Trying to make sense of his son's sacrifice. Priya Sridhar, NBC News.
And in Fort Worth, Texas, a salesman is thanking his lucky stars after his tablet stopped a bullet and wound up saving his life. He's okay, but an arrest warrant is out for the homeowner who repeatedly shouted racial slurs at the salesman before that shooting. And Meredith Yeomans from our NBC affiliate in Dallas-Fort Worth has that story.
So, let's shook up.
In his 10 years doing door-to-door sales for Reliant,
I do this every day.
This man, who asked not to be identified, has never had a day like this.
And that's what a bullet would have came out.
And he has this tablet to prove it.
This is the one thing that I always feared, getting shot at the door. And today it happened.
He says he was going door-to-door in this East Fort Worth neighborhood Thursday morning, asking homeowners about their electric bills.
Do you know what you're paying right now?
Then he knocked on a door on Purington Avenue and says he was met by a man with a gun.
He just came out and just straight pointed the barrel at me and then shot me and told me, get away from here. Lucky it didn't hit me. It hit the tablet.
A tablet he says he normally wears by his side.
But today the tablet was in front of my stomach. So he shot here, but if this would have been right here, he would have shot here.
He got away and called police.
When we arrived to the location, nobody was inside the residence.
Police say there's now an arrest warrant for the homeowner who could face aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and hate crime charges.
You're looking at several different charges because you just cannot fire a weapon at a human for absolutely no reason, no threat involved.
This is a photo of the tablet before the bullet was removed. A close call.
And I'm very grateful because this could have ended my life. I got 2 daughters. This could have been, I could have been in the hospital dead now.
That he says needs to have consequences. Meredith Yeomans, NBC5.
What a close call. Now, it's another Super Bowl championship for the Kansas City Chiefs. This one after a nail-biting overtime win over the San Francisco 49ers last night. It's the Chiefs' second Super Bowl win in a row and their third title in the last 5 years. And fans in and around Kansas City can look forward to their victory parade on Wednesday. Meanwhile, as always, it was a huge night for brands eager to take advantage of the big game's massive viewership. But this year, not only was the average cost of a 30-second commercial a whopping $7 million, but we also saw beauty brands who usually don't advertise at the Super Bowl, which were trying to cash in on the Taylor Swift effect. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch from Kansas City. Jesse, first off, what's it like out there? Can you tell me about what the reaction's been?
Yeah, Gadi, so you can see behind us here, they've got the Super Bowl champion banners up on the major train station here, historic train station, Union Station in downtown Kansas City. This is going to be the site of what is expected to be a massive rally come Wednesday. They're going to be going on a parade route almost 2 miles long. They'll wind up here, and officials are expecting close to 1 million people. And that's based on what they saw last year, because remember, they are back-to-back Super Bowl champs here. But a couple of things to keep in mind, Gadi. You can see this was the scene here in KC last night. It was electric. We were out there. There were people partying in the streets. It was hard to get around in cars because of how much was going on. A couple things to keep in mind. It's going to be really warm for this time of year on Wednesday. The forecaster is talking about around 60 degrees when this parade is going on. So you can imagine that might bring more people out here. And then, of course, there's also the possibility of Taylor Swift being here. More on that in a moment. But as I mentioned a few moments ago, back-to-back Super Bowl champs now, Kansas City. This is the first time we've seen that in almost 20 years. Here's some of what we've heard from Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes.
We felt like everybody was playing hard. We just got to pick up our execution and continue to get better. And defense had kept us in the game. And so for us, we just said, be us. Let's be us out there. If we're going to go down, let's have fun. Let's enjoy it and give everything we have. And we'll live with the results after.
And Gadi, he's already talking about next season, trying to go for a three-peat. Of course, one of his main targets is tight end Travis Kelce. They've got Coach Andy Reid. He's been asked about retirement. He's been pushing that off. So we'll see if they can go for 3 in a row next year. That's what Mahomes is focused on right now. And, of course, they're partying, too.
Jesse, let's talk real quick about this surge in the Swifties watching the game. I'm trying to imagine the Venn diagram of what Swifties love, what diehard NFLers love, and like water is maybe in the middle. But how did all that play out? What else did we see?
Yeah, so here's something interesting. We met this family today. The parents met at a Chiefs rally years ago. They've now got their daughter as a huge super fan. She's 8 years old. She is a huge Travis Kelce fan. She became a Swiftie because of Kelce. So that's kind of the inverse of what we might expect from a lot of people that has happened this year. So there's that crossover in both directions. There are Swifties who have become Chiefs fans, and there are Kelce fans and Chiefs fans who have become Swiftie fans. So that Venn diagram might have more overlap than we thought. She was seen repeatedly on the TV screens during the game. You could see some of the advertisements, at least one ad seeming to be an homage to how she brought new fans to the game this year. And as I mentioned before, Gadi, we're still waiting to find out if she will be here on Wednesday for the pep rally and for the parade summit. To keep in mind, it is Valentine's Day. You got to imagine Travis might want to have his girlfriend with him on Valentine's Day, but she's got a pretty busy week ahead of her. She flew in from Tokyo to be at the Super Bowl, and if she comes to this rally on Wednesday, she will then have to make her way to Melbourne, Australia, because she has an Eras Tour concert on Friday night. So we'll see if she can get there in time. I checked, there are commercial flights that would get me there in time if I flew from KC to Melbourne on Wednesday. So if you want to send me on that flight just to prove it, Gadi, by all means, I will hop on that plane. It is 17 hours ahead there. So we'll see if she can get there in time. But if she's not here, Gadi, I think some people might think there's a blank space in Kansas City. Back to you.
Blank space. Well, yeah, okay, blank space. I can't think of a more romantic place to be for Valentine's Day. Let me just text Taylor and see if she's got some room on her jet, because I will not be buying you that ticket.
I'll just bring a carry-on. I'll keep it light.
There you go, Jesse Kurz. Thank you so much, brother. And still to come, there is only one major hospital left in Gaza, and it's surrounded by a war zone. We're going to take you inside the facility where only 5 doctors are treating nearly 1,000 patients. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back, and here's a quick look around the world. The U.S. conducted strikes against Iran-backed Houthi boats and missiles on Friday. Now, those boats were prepped to launch against ships in the Red Sea and presented a threat to U.S. ships. The Houthi fighters, who control most of Yemen, have launched attacks in the Red Sea over the past few weeks in response to Israel's military operations in Gaza. And Kevin Kiptum, the fastest man to ever finish a marathon, was killed along with his coach in a car crash yesterday in Kenya. He was 24 years old, and Kiptum was the first person to ever finish a record-eligible marathon in under 2 hours and 1 minute, and he was a top contender for gold at the Olympics in Paris this year. Russian forces are using Starlink in occupied areas to provide internet access to their air assault brigade, according to Ukrainian military spy agency. And Elon Musk's SpaceX, which owns Starlink, has said it doesn't do any business of any kind with the Russian government or military. And an overturned mystery vessel has caused a huge oil spill off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago, triggering a national emergency there. The vessel capsized last Wednesday, and it made no emergency calls, had no sign of crew, and no clear sign of ownership. So far, a bunch of government agencies and over 1,000 volunteers are working to contain that spill. And there is not a single fully functioning hospital left in all of Gaza, according to the World Health Organization. And of the ones left still standing, some are hurting more than others. Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis has seen the worst of the war. Right now, it is home to 850 patients and thousands of displaced civilians. But there are only 5 doctors there to take care of all of them. And our team met with one of them, Dr. Mohammed Harara. Take a look.
تقلقش كل شيء بيطلع كويس بس انت اعمل زي ما بحكي لك ماشي خلص بخير بخير خلص تقلقوش ماشي ابراهيم اسمع طلع عليا اهدى علي بس ما ترجعوا الله يحفظك عنده Every night after a hard work, I can't sleep due to what I saw during the day. The vision of martyrs and injury. He is shot and maybe he have a hemothorax, a blood in his chest. We don't have medication to complete their treatment. The simplest thing like painkiller and anesthesia we don't have. We don't have gauze, we don't have gloves, we don't have anything.
انا بدي اروح للعمال اروح على الاردنيه حكون عملوا له طبقيه دكتور بس بدي العلاج خيطوه
بس هذه في الصيدليه مش هذا.
نعم
استفراغ هيك درشق لقدام. لا هي اسمه مكتوب تقلقش. يا رب يا رب. This man is suffering from pain because we don't have any anesthesia here. Israel tanks are everywhere and we are completely surrounded. We have received 128 injuries and 56 martyrs since this morning. I don't receive any help from any organization since the beginning of this war. I just work here as a volunteer. I spent all the day working with the injured, but finally we get time to drink. I live here in the hospital with my friends, which are journalists, in a tent which is very, very small. My family in another place. I can't reach them. I hope they are safe. Let me see what we have food today. Lemon. Tomato lemon. Now I'm going to the souk for buying something to eat because I don't have any food in my tent. حبيبي بكم عندك هدول؟ لا التونة. إيه؟ This war destroy everything. Destroy the hope we had before. I just have many dreams. One of them be a great doctor of a plastic surgery. But now I just seeking for a safe place of my family where they can live as a human. We fear that we are passing from the same scenario like a Shifa hospital. I work at the Shifa hospital and now the situation are the same. Many question why you didn't leave the hospital right now. Who will receive the injuries and who will cure them?
And we'll be right back. And for Gen Z, it looks like the future might not mean getting a license. Not only are they driving less, but staying home and maybe not drinking as much. And it seems to be part of this broader shift happening among those Zoomers, and all of it linked to the COVID pandemic. Here's Dana Griffin.
Getting a driver's license may not feel like a ticket to freedom for a lot of teens and young adults like it used to.
Offhand, I'd say you failed.
Failed? Hoping to avoid moments like that, less and less of Gen Z, roughly defined as people born between 97 and 2010, are on the roads.
I'm from New Orleans, which is sort of notorious for having bad drivers. I don't want to put myself in this situation.
Today, just 25% of 16-year-olds have any kind of driver's license. Compare that to nearly 3 decades ago, when that number was more than 40%. Why do all of that when you have things like public transportation, ride sharing, and food delivery apps?
The modern accessibility for getting rides and all of that has sort of balanced out the fact that I don't have a license.
It's also part of some broader shifts we're seeing among Gen Z. They're drinking less.
I know the influence, I know the impact, and I know the vibes.
Sleeping earlier. And across social media, viral content focused on staying in more, self-care, and staying home.
No, because I've got a plan.
What do you mean?
You'll find out.
Why? Part of it may have to do with the fact that their coming of age was interrupted.
Many of these young adults really kind of finished middle school or high school in the pandemic where everything shifted to online. So in real life, kind of interactions seemed less important.
They're spending a lot of their time glued to their phones. Just about half of teens say they're online almost constantly, double that from 2015, according to a recent Pew study. In some cases, dramatically changing how they socialize, according to health officials. Another part, finances. 85% of Gen Z citing one or more barriers to achieving financial success. One expert citing a financial hierarchy when it comes to spending, maybe less on a focus on getting a car and paying insurance and more on groceries and paying off student loans.
I think driving and owning a car just is kind of falling down because there's so many new options that they can utilize. It just isn't the thing that used to be the most priority for other people.
The outcome of some of those financial decisions, some call it an introvert economy.
Instead of trying to figure out how to do it and potentially failing, it's just easier to stay kind of to yourself.
Which could be good for long-term health trends, but potentially exacerbating the loneliness epidemic. Last year, nearly a quarter of Gen Z adults reported always or often feeling lonely over the past 12 months, compared to 18% of millennials, according to the American Enterprise Institute's Survey Center on American Life. But it doesn't have to stay that way.
I'm hoping that as that maturity continues to happen, that thing also impacts how lonely we feel and how we can increase connected communities so that we can decrease some of these other issues.
Fascinating point. Dana Griffin, thanks so much. And finally tonight, a high school robotics team is making headlines for an incredible act of kindness. They crafted a specialized walker for a 10-year-old girl with Guillain-Barré syndrome, and Kayla Barnes from our NBC affiliate WLEX has that story.
Meet Harper Borders, a 10-year-old girl with Guillain-Barré syndrome. Harper has global developmental delays, mobility issues, and is legally blind. Harper goes to Marshall Pediatric Therapy to see Chloe Isaacs, who had the idea to get Harper a posterior walker.
Right, we feed it to Chase.
I'd had this idea for a long time for Harper, just to give her some type of independence. With the use of her sight cane, it made it really hard for her to use any type of walker with her, but she really needed that stability too. So, and there was nothing out there on the market. I searched and I searched, nothing came up.
Chloe heard about a nonprofit in Cincinnati called May We Help, which enlisted help from a local high school robotics team to build a walker for Harper.
These students just took off with the idea and created, they put together, kind of built their own walker, and then they put sensors on the walker that can detect objects 2 feet in front of Harper while she's using the walker.
A few of the students traveled down to Lexington to deliver the walker and were delighted to see Harper start using it.
It really means so much to me as a parent, that these students had the heart to create this walker and make adjustments to it and modify it so that it could be so useful to my daughter to give her independence at school.
Using this walker, Isaac says Harper has grown in confidence and independence.
We used it yesterday during her session, and she walked through this clinic better than she ever had. Like, I felt like I was more of a hindrance to her because I was in the way, and she had a mission that she was going to go, and she did not need me there.
Incredible. That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.